Hi, my name is Eva Bingham. I am a senior at the University of Alaska Southeast in the BS Geography and Environmental Resources program. For our History Pin project scaling the Trans-Alaskan Pipeline, I chose to focus on topics related to the materials used to build the pipeline and local to global effects that occurred during and after the devastating Exxon Valdez oil spill. I was born and raised in Alaska. Much of my life and my parents' lives have been really influenced by Alaska's oil. My personal goal for this class was to simply learn more and increase my understanding of not only the physical pipeline, but also the lingering effects that it has had on Alaska's economy, people, and the environment. To start off, I'll go over some of the pins I created that pertain to materials, and then I'll walk you through the pins I created related to globalization. I realized after I made the pins that they also have a good connection with mobility, which ties into some of the other tags that we have throughout our project. Uh, so the what I wanted to focus on was a couple pins I made on the construction of the Haul Road and the Yukon River Bridge. These two engineering feats required an extraordinary amount of manpower, materials, and expertise. The Haul Road is the only road in Alaska that leads to Prudhoe Bay. It was created next to the pipeline to allow access for trucks and heavy machinery to be supplied to the oil fields. And I can show you right now the pin that I made, construction of the pipeline. You can see in this picture, you got the haul road on the left and the pipeline here on the right. And I decided to pin it up in the north slope because it is the only road that leads up there. Um, so the road itself, it spans from the interior of Alaska all the way to the Arctic Ocean. It crosses the Yukon River, the Arctic Circle, the Brooks Range, the Continental Divide, and the North Slope. In light of the current COVID pandemic, the oil companies are taking extra precautions when it comes to preventing the spread of the virus to the oil camps. Um, as news of the virus and the pandemic is changing daily, we as a class have decided to share the responsibility to report on the new implications that the pandemic is doing to Alaska's oil economy. And this is a continuing project, what we're doing, and these events are happening in real time. So we really welcome anyone to add on what they know, what they've heard about the pipeline. We have a tag just about COVID-19 because this is a historical moment in our time, and that's happening today, which I think looking back at History Pin in a year or a couple years, it'll be interesting to see in real time how things were changing very rapidly. So this brings me to my next pin about materials, which is the Yukon River Bridge that I did, and here's a picture of it. And so at the time, this was the longest bridge in the US. It was approximately half a mile long and the first bridge to ever cross the Yukon River. It's still known today as an amazing engineering feat. The construction had to happen from either side of the river, and they built it from either side, and then it connected in the middle. And the mobility of the oil, it doesn't stop once it reaches to the port of Valdez. So you can see down in here we've got quite a few pins. This is in Valdez, down here. From there, the oil goes onto oil tankers and is shipped to oil refineries in the lower 48. And so in 1989, the oil tanker known as the Exxon Valdez hit a reef and expelled over 11 million gallons of oil. And I personally remember the first time I ever heard about the Exxon Valdez was when I was in fifth grade. My teacher walked over to the sink faucet and she turned it on and let it run at full and said, if this ran for a straight 10 years, I believe it was, that is the equivalent to how much water spilled out of the Exxon Valdez. That phrase has just really stuck with me all these years, and it's an unbelievable amount that it's hard to really comprehend, and the scale of the effects that it had on the environment, and not only the environment but the people in Alaska and our trust in the oil companies as well. We have multiple pins on the effects that the oil spill left on Alaska, and I personally made a pin on the outcomes that the oil spill has had afterwards, not only locally but globally and as a nation as well. I think it's down in here, if I can find it. Yeah, Cordova is is where the Exxon Valdez occurred. You can look it up. So there we have multiple pins on it. It was such a big event. So after the Exxon Valdez occurred, the government tightened regulations on oil tankers after the spill. The U.S. Congress passed the Oil Pollution Act in 1990, and they set up a liability fund to improve spill disaster plans. They allowed local safety agencies to police claims by shippers. And today, there are special tugboats that usher large tankers out of the port of Valdez and into the open ocean. Local response teams have been trained and they respond to an oil spill in Prince William Sound if one is to occur. And as a nation and globally, we are seeing a steady increase in renewable energy resources being used. So hopefully our dependence on oil will lessen, and the devastating, and as with that, lessen the devastating effects of an oil spill occurring. So I feel like I've talked enough, and this was just kind of the gist of our project and what I got to focus on. I really enjoyed exploring the different aspects of the pipeline this semester. I not only got to learn more about the pipeline, but also about the socioeconomic connections that tie many of our lives personally to oil, and and how it has evolved into where we are today as a country and just a global entity as a whole. So I really appreciate people coming and watching this, and yeah, thanks.